Hi everybody, welcome to another one of my gameplay analysis videos where I take you through a game of PUBG, in this case a chicken dinner, a duo win with Colonel Ping on Miramar, to kind of discuss the strategies and tactics we're using. So, if you're a beginner, if you're new to PUBG, or maybe you're coming back as a veteran, or you just want some different ideas, maybe this will help. I'll put a link in the description below this video to link to this video here, because the full gameplay is on YouTube. It's an unlisted video, but in the description below that video there's all the timestamps so you can flick around. Please note that when I record these videos on my Xbox, this is Xbox Series S gameplay, it doesn't record the audio chat, so although we are talking to each other, you don't get to hear that. So as you can see, it is Miramar, and let's see where we decide to drop, and then I can talk you a little bit more about the introduction. If I click on that, it'll take me straight to it. Excuse me. So it's a southwest to northeast flight path, pretty much bisecting the map. Dissecting, is that a word? And where we decide to go is Impala, which is down here. So the decision there is we're jumping far. We're gliding far, trying to get a vehicle so that we can loot safely well away from the flight path. And the idea of this strategy is that most players will drop along the flight path and they'll go to the named towns, so Picado, Hacienda de la Patron, Cruz de Val, all that sort of stuff. People love, if you go out sort of probably 1.5 squares each side of the flight path, that's where people mainly will drop. Whereas if you can drop, say, along one of the roads, especially on Miramar, and then pick up a vehicle, drive far away. The other reason for doing that is that you're kind of throwing the dice, you're flipping the coin about where the next circle is going to pop. Because if you're very lucky, the circle will pop on your side of the map. So let's say, so we're going to go to Impala. You'll see me drop down a marker in a second. We're going to go to Impala. And say the circle popped on this side of the map, so the southeast side of the map. We're automatically then on the quiet side of the map. We're automatically in a situation where there's going to be less enemies on our side of the map than there would be on the other side of the map, and that's just an advantage. Early game firefights, let's move on a little bit, are notoriously random in terms of if I should turn the volume down a bit so that it doesn't interfere with the narration. Early game firefights are notoriously laggy and buggy, and even if you're the best gunfighter in the world, there's always a chance you're going to lose. So as you can see there, or you could see there, let's just take it back a second. We can see here where the first circle has popped. Again, we've been lucky. It's really popped far to the southeast. An interesting fact about Miramar, you can get circles that end on these islands. Doesn't happen very often. You get more common ones that will end down here, but you can get ones that end on there. I wish more of them would, because that is a super exciting end to a game there where people are swimming across or getting boats across and firefighting. So the circle's here. Our chosen point is here. As it turns out, I think the Colonel, he lands somewhere over here and has to take the long way round. But again, we'll be in a quiet part of the map to start off with, where we can loot up in safety and avoid those early game gunfights. So we can have good vests, we can have the equipment we want, we can have the scopes we want, and then decide what we want to do. Next. Just remember that some people will be using this strategy as well, which means that they end up coming over here, and things like supply drops pull people out of position. So there'll be people who play in the game who look for the airplanes going across, and they'll jump on a motorbike, jump in a car, and they will chase down those supply drops so they get the level 3 gear. So let's just jump forward another little bit, and then we've arrived sort of on my marker, and it's just a case of running around and getting the loadout that I want. At the moment, as of sort of early 2022, kind of lean towards a 7.6 loadout if I can, with something like a barrel and an SKS or an SLR. But I'm not averse to an M416. Really, I think the Scar is as good as the 7.6 weapons. Maybe with a Mini 14, maybe with an M16 with a 6x or a 4x scope on the other end. Occasionally, I'll pick up a bolt-action rifle, but not very often, because I'm not that accurate. And then obviously you want your level 2 or level 3 vests. If you're very lucky, get a supply drop, get a level 3 helmet, 3 first aids as a minimum, 5 bandages, 3 painkillers and 3 energy drinks as a minimum, and then I would always like to have 3 smokes, maybe a couple of frags, maybe a Molotov or 2, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm kind of building towards as we're running around. So then the circle moves south a little bit, and just moving into the more built-up area of the town. Again, at this point, you've really got to be listening out as well for enemies, because if they're going to be coming to you, they're going to be coming to you with vehicles, so you're going to hear them coming, or they're going to be coming to you with the emergency pickup balloon. You can put the packet down and it puts the balloon in the air, then an aeroplane comes up. So if you look into the air and you see one of the C-130s going over, or it appears to be climbing, or appears to be at an angle, that's an emergency pickup, and there could be someone parachuting down. And remember, with the emergency pickup, unlike in a game like Warzone, where the people who are coming down don't have any weapons, the people who've used the emergency pickups could well be fully geared indeed. Now, as we go on, unfortunately, we've had this a couple of times, the Colonel crashes out. Happened to me in a couple of games as well. And so you can see here his character is sprinting hard. Luckily he's bumped into something, because if you crash out while you're running or in a vehicle, you'll keep going. And one of the things you can do if this does happen, if someone does crash out and they're going into danger or they're stuck in the scenery, one of the things you can do is shoot them. And what you want to do is you want to shoot them in the legs or shoot them in the arms, so it doesn't damage their helmet or their vest, so it knocks them, because then they'll go down. Then you can revive them. Or you can use the new pickup mechanic to actually pick them up and throw them over your shoulder. That's very good if people are stuck on the scenery. You've got to be careful. You don't want to kill them. You don't want a friendly fire incident. But you can pick them up, take them somewhere safe, pop them down, and then use them. Now, me and the Colonel, we're both running Xbox Series S's. So luckily, you'll see. I think he stops running in a sec. As soon as they stop running, he's loading in at that point. So he's safe. So I can carry on, kind of looking for what I'm after. And then what happens next is I hear a vehicle pull up, and a guy has actually run into this house. So the Colonel's up on the top floor of this house here, and a guy runs into here, and I think he's in there already, and I hear him, so I kind of move over to have a look to see what's happening, to see if I can get a shot. There he is. So there's the guy there. So the Colonel's up here, this guy's here. So I'm just keeping an eye on him, and I think, what can I do? I've got some options here. I could just fire my gun. That would be a good thing to do, because that would then distract the guy, and it may think, all right, the guy might think I should retreat from this situation. I do need to bear in mind that we are playing duo, so there could be another guy with this guy as well. I could just wait and get some information off the Colonel. He could say, right, he's below me, he's to the left, to the right. What I decided to do in the end is Molotov through the middle windows, with the idea of this guy's going up the stairs. If I Molotov through the windows, he may think there's someone outside, or he may think it's the Colonel doing something. So I wander over and I lob a Molotov through where I think the stairs are. They might not be, I'm not quite sure. But what it does do is it does make the guy think twice, and he does decide to then exit the building. So I Molotov in there, so it'll all be on fire in there. Then I back off a bit. And I think that bang, I think that's the Colonel throwing a grenade down the stairs at the bloke. Now the guy has gone down to the bottom floor, and he hasn't twigged that I'm outside. So what he does is he comes out. There we go, so that's him there, and he is actually teeing up a grenade there. He's got his arm forward. I obviously take him out with the Scar. I do like the Scar. It is good. In fact, I think, what have I got? I've got a Scar, and I have got the Mutant. So I don't end up using the Mutant that much, but perhaps I should. It is kind of the 7.6 version of the M16, isn't it? And as you can see, that's the guy's grenade. So good lesson there is, if you do kill someone and they're teeing up a grenade, don't run over to their body straight away, because there's a chance they've unpinned a grenade and that will go off. It's quite cool to kill somebody though that way if you do. So we kind of loot his body, and then the circle has popped to the south. So you know how the main circle is in the southeast. Now it's gone even further south. So let's just pause that there. So we're up here somewhere. You can't quite see us. So it's popped right in the bottom southeast corner of the map by Puerto Fariso, is that? Or Puerto Pariso. Now what's interesting here is I put my marker down there as kind of a guideline. That is actually almost dead on to where the circle ends up finishing. Because you can say to yourself, well, okay, so if we're going to head to this circle, where should we go? You know, what should be the point at which we stop? Do we play the edge here? Do we play the edge around here? Do we go out into the water? I mean, we could jump into a boat, couldn't we, and come in this way? Well, we know the flight path was southwest to northeast, so the flight path was this way. So basically, almost everybody will be coming in from this direction. They'll be coming in from the northwest to the southeast. There'll have been plenty of people in Los Leones, plenty of people would have been in Chimachera, and they'll be funneling in this way. Now, the more you play PUBG, the more you get to know the map, and this is all high ground here, and then it slopes down to the beach. So people tend to like to hold ridges. You know, you definitely don't like to be at the bottom of a defilade or the bottom of a ridge. There's no point standing in a valley because people just shoot down on you. What you want to do is you want to get to the ridge so you can use third person to peek over the top. So you can be pretty sure people are going to be round this arc here. Also, players are attracted like magnets to buildings. You know, so people who drive along, you know, especially duo squads, where should we go? Let's go in that house, because you know you've got cover in a house. Whether that's a good idea or not is remain to be seen, because the problem with taking a house is that, yes, it does give you cover, but it is a point of attraction for other players. You tend to bump into other players. So just bear that in mind. If there's an area that you can take in a circle or around the edge of the circle, which isn't in a house that is secure, maybe there's a little dip in the ground or something like that, that often can be a better option than going into a small house. Because especially in squads and duos, the problem with being inside houses is the sheer amount of grenades that people can throw through the windows and take you out. As it is, when we do get down there, we end up in Puerto Pariso, as you will see. So we jump in the buggy and we are on our way. You're just thinking and think, right, okay, where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? So the Colonel's driving, and then what happens as we get there, or as we start to get into Puerto Pariso, we're getting chased by a jeep, which is always good fun. So I give them a whole magazine from the Scar. See, the Scar's really easy to control. Let's see. Look how damaged is our vehicle. Not very damaged at all, so they didn't really hit us very well. The Colonel's keeping the buggy nice and steady. I've taken some damage. I reload. I tell the Colonel to start wiggling, but he doesn't need to, because a few more bullets and that blows up. So case in point there, if you're in a vehicle and it takes a lot of damage and the damage bar is below the speed and it starts smoking, for God's sake, stop and get out, because if it blows up and you're inside it, you know, forget about it. You'll be dead. So now, if you look in the bottom right corner, you can see we are in Puerto Pariso, and the Colonel pulls over. And to give you an idea of, you know, the fact that these places are like magnets to players, there's a guy on a bike doing what? Does he make it actually? Oh, I don't know if he makes the roof. Yeah, I think he does. So he did that jump all the way over there, because people love to be in buildings and in strong places. So we get behind cover. I'm a bit silly there, sitting there. I should have really jumped off before. But you can see on my right, so to my north, there's all this high ground. And then, you know, we're pretty good for kit. And then it's a case, so now what we're doing is we're now moving to the southwest, sort of trying to get towards the coast again, playing the edge of the map. A lot of this is always thinking about, where aren't players going to be? Well, they're probably not going to be in the sea. So if we go close to the edge of the beach, but still have cover to our northeast, you know, we could well be safe. So that's kind of what we're thinking as we're trying to get out of town. We're going to make our way to the edge, and then we're going to kind of go along. However, we are keeping it, again, this is a better view of all this high ground that's here. So you want to be limiting the sight lines of people, because again, there's going to be some guy up here who's a crack shot with the Kar 98 who's going to take your head off. So we make our way. As you can see, we've kind of made our way. We're almost out of Porto Paradiso now, and now we've got a bit of a problem, because if I turn around, you'll see. Turn around. There we go. So if you look at the bottom right hand corner, you can see there's the edge of the circle. There's the beach. So the circle kind of starts at the beach that way, and then we've got this warehouse area, then we've got this house, and there's another house up there. That house up there, that's where the circle finishes. That's where we end up eventually. So we've got all this open ground to try and cover, and we know that there's people all along here. So at this point, the colonel decides to go and look for a boat. Always a good option, because we can zoom up, and I'm thinking, oh well, we've got 12 seconds to go till the circle pops. So we've got plenty of time, and as it is, I decide to start swimming. At a distance, very difficult to see people swimming. Also, you can dive underneath, and you can. That means people can't shoot you. Always risky though. And what happens is the colonel actually comes along. I think he's in a skidoo or something like that, and people see him and start shooting at him. But he's going too fast. They'd have to be very, very good to hit him. So he then goes on ahead to get into the warehouse area. There he goes, and I just swim. You know, I'm a fair way out. I'm probably 20 meters off the coast, so somebody would really have to be looking. And remember, what's happening as well is, as people are shooting at us, they're third-partying each other. It's a classic thing that happens in this sort of situation where the players are all being squashed together. There's 15 people left alive. You fire at someone, and then someone else just over the brow goes, "Ooh, there's someone there," and they shoot at you. So we get into this house here. Here we go. So here comes me. And we are doing the classic right on the edge of the circle. As you see, if you look in the bottom right hand corner, we're right on the edge of the circle. Great place to be. Thinking forward though, our problem is this space here. You know, the circle isn't going to finish over us, because the way that the circle works, the rule of it is the centre can't be over water, and it has to fit inside the existing circle. So we cannot be in the middle of the next circle. It's physically impossible, because the next circle has to be inside. We could be right next to it and we can move into it, but the circle would have to be right up against ours. So chances are we're going to have to move. But at this point, with 12 people left alive, all we're really thinking about is, you know, the next 30 seconds, making sure nobody's rushing us, is this area safe, making sure our weapons are reloaded. Do we need to go to full boost so we have automatic healing? Is there anything worth picking up? And that's really it. That's what you're kind of doing at this point. If players look like they may well be approaching, firing a few shots at them to force them to go in another direction so they bump into other players is always a good option. But only do that if they're a direct threat, again, because if we can keep our position secret from everybody else, it means that we'll attract less attention. Moving forward, so what you'll see now is the next circle will pop. Actually, yeah, no, we decide to move before the circle pops, because we know that it's not going to be where it is. So as you can see here, I'm actually using my tactical smokes for a change to throw a couple down, and then it's the mad dash towards this house. And little do we know at this point, there are actually a couple of guys here, and you'll see me get knocked. And this is, you know, put your gun away, run as fast as you can. If you're boosted, you'll run faster. Not stopping to engage anybody, because imagine if you stop and you start shooting at somebody, you're in the open, so you're going to get third-partied. So what happens here is there's a guy who climbs up onto the roof, and there's a guy to the left. And the colonel engages the guy on the left, and then I finish him off. There we go. So you can just about, so we're killing this guy here, and this guy goes to get up on the roof. The colonel goes inside to kill him, and that guy is now going up on the roof. So there he is. So at this point, this is a 50-50 gunfight now, really. However, you'll notice what I probably could have done if I'd had them, I should have gone to full boost with my painkillers and my energy drinks. Also, because this guy has the high ground, one of the advantages you always have at the high ground is the chances of getting a headshot to knock people out very, very quickly. And as it is, I mean, I get some good shots in on them. There's a lot of blood there, so he must have almost been dead, but he knocks me. Now, the colonel is inside the house. I'm communicating with the colonel at this point, saying, right, he's on the top, listen out, because one of the things that guy could do is drop down and push the colonel, or to try and finish me, because he knows, at this stage in the game, there's a good chance that he's going to try and revive me. There's also a chance the other people are going to be pushing in, because there's only 7 people left. So if you take me and the colonel off, and that guy, so there's 4 people left in another part of the map. If you look in the bottom right corner in the circle, we're dead in the circle. But at this point, it's a case of, well, let's see if we can get inside. The colonel's gone upstairs just to have a look round, and it's like, well, I've got nothing to lose now. It would be wrong for me to ask the colonel to come outside and res me. He could do if he had some smokes, if I physically couldn't get through, but because there's a gap in this wall, I can go for it. And for some reason, in PUBG, you do have quite a lot of health when you're knocked. It's quite hard to finish people. So here we go. So I'm crawling in. He's doing the right thing and just waiting for me. The red bar's slowly ticking down. Now, if we have a look now, the circle's popped again. We're still inside. And we're down to 6 people alive now, so us and 4 others. In comes a grenade. And then the colonel gets the revive. So that's cool. So from now we know we've got a guy above us, and it's just a case of defending the house now, because we don't want people running up. Gosh, I don't get many hits into that one. We don't want people running up and throwing grenades through the windows and taking us out, with a cheap death that way. Looking at the circle, though, we also know that the circle is probably going to move away from us, so we've got to be aware of that. So again, we're talking to each other. We're saying, right, we've got the guy on the roof, there's people coming up. Just trying to see who we can see, to take him out. Listening out, that's the big thing. And the other blue is going to be coming in. Get some boosts down us next. Making sure we're reloaded. The colonel's just above me. Using third person to look around. Just peek into this guy there. And then next, if you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see that the circle's popped away from us, and we're down to 4. So the guy on the roof has actually been killed. And so the colonel and I, we have a quick chat, and it's like, right, let's go. Let's retreat to the circle. Let's get position in the circle, so the other guys have got to come for us. So that's what we do. We have a look, and then I try and sneak off to the right, just to see if I can see them creeping up, because at this point again we don't know if they're working together. It could be 2v1v1 or 2v2, not quite sure. They start to smoke, and then we're legging it down to get to the circle, so the others have got to come to us. Still no sign of them. Back we go. I'm just having a quick... This probably wasn't the cleverest idea, because if they had pushed up here, they would have got me here. So I'm very lucky that they didn't. I think they decide to come in with the blue. That's the difference. So the colonel's a bit ahead of me, so I asked the colonel to cover me. He's got position here. I take position behind this car. And the colonel shouts out where he sees a guy on the left. Not quite sure why that... So I see this guy, blat him with the scar, finish him off. So we know now it's a team. And then the colonel calls out the other guy who's to our right. There we go. So the other guy's there. Probably just about see him. Colonel's got eyes on. For some reason, this guy, I don't think he needed to push us, but he decides to push. You'll see it in a second. There he goes. And he goes behind this ramp. He does well, this guy, because he actually uses the ramp as cover. He jumps on the ramp and starts moving up. And the colonel, who I think is just by the building, pushes south to get an angle on him. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to not die. When you're in these 2v1 situations, it's very important that you both just stay alive. Don't give yourself away. Don't let yourself be killed easily, because then it's a 1v1 and you may well lose the dinner. So the colonel's pushed over there, and he gets the dinner, and there we go. So hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully you got some hints and tips from that. If you enjoy these videos, like, if you want to see more, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.